hello, and welcome to Feedback for the week of September 14th. We have now made it into the fall. Kids are back in school, which means there's more obstacles in the street when I'm driving. Here to join us at this cusp of something magical and wonderful, we have Jake Gaskill.
You know?
We have Dana Vinson.
Hi.
And joining us for the first time, Nicole Zavalich. I did it right? Perfect. All right. Thank you so much for joining us, all of you. So let's start with some news. Jake, did any games come out this week?
Probably some DS game or something.
Oh, Fancy Nancy's Super Tea Party or whatever.
That's right. That's what it was.
Fancy Nancy?
I knew I lined
Yeah,
up.
something.
She has a super tea party?
I don't think. I think I added that.
To the regular tea party. This is the one for the Super Nintendo system. Of course.
There we
No,
go.
what was I thinking? Halo Reach came out. If you didn't know that, please write in why you're watching, because we try to bring in those people with their pulse on the on all the gaming stuff. This is of course Bungie's last game for Halo. This is not to say there's no more Halos.
Right.
343 is going to be taking that over. They are now Bungie's now going over to Activision to make something highly top secret that sounds life changing, maybe.
Perhaps?
Universe
changing?
life-changing?
Some kind of massive
Let's go
universe.
with that. Obviously, Kevin Kelly, who is off in the wilds of Japan with Abby Heppy, he did the review, gave it a 5 out of 5, really liked it. I got a chance to play it, actually finished it this weekend. I must concur. It was quite an experience. Have any of you guys gotten a chance with the Reach?
Oh yes, it's great.
Good. Now, would you say it overreached?
Oh
Yeah. No.
Anyway,
It's
Master Chief's not in it.
Yeah. Now,
that good?
does that
I was
really
trying
make...
to
I think at one point I wondered, is that going to confuse people? Is that going to turn people off? Obviously, you were Master Chief in ODST, and that sold fairly well as well. Does it strike you as being a distinct difference with the game?
I've played it for a couple hours or so, and he was. I never really identified with Master Chief.
Yeah,
anyway.
he was a strong character as an icon, but
Yeah.
I never thought oh yes, he has so much depth, that Master Chief.
Plus, the only real difference is your health bar. You could regenerate as Master Chief, whereas now you need health packs, which are kind of everywhere. So
And
it
there
doesn't
still
make a
is.
difference.
You have the shield regeneration, but then you kind of need. You start losing health, you're not getting
Right.
that back.
Right.
To me, the design of the game feels quite sophisticated, or at least sophisticated, compared to some of the previous Halos. And I have yet a chance to play it with co-op, but every level I played in single player, I was like, wow. I really want to see this with some other people, because they really have there's all that range to do stuff. Obviously, this is going to be the focus of discussion for next week's feedback once we get Kevin back, so he can account for his love and affection for the game that we seem to be fully in accordance with. But okay, launch day, big day. They did stuff in Times Square. They probably did stuff out in Vernon, assuming there's a GameStop out there. It's always a big deal. What was it? Halo 3 right here. Yeah, $170 million in 24 hours. That's about 3 million copies. How big do you think the launch of Reach is going to be?
Well, it doesn't have its own Mountain Dew. So if
Well,
that's
that's true.
a precursor to anything.
That's true. That's a
Halo
very
3
good point,
did.
Nicole.
Well, the stunning thing is that it's not multi-console. Not
Well, neither was
multi-platform.
Halo 3.
Right, but for Modern Warfare 2 is the current record holder.
Right.
It was $310 million in 24 hours. Considering that Halo is just one console, it's pretty impressive. It'll probably be around the 200 mark, 200, something like that. I would imagine.
That's a lot of money. I'm curious because Halo, I wouldn't say it's run its course, but definitely if you look at the charming commenters on our Halo review on the website, there's definitely a group of people that may, because of just time, have suffered some Halo fatigue. I just don't know if the game really still is as strong as it was at the launch of Halo 3, or in terms of the franchise.
I think it's really got something going for it because you could slap the Halo name on Halo Taco Party and it would sell. No one would care,
Is that like a super tea party?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Master Chief's afternoon tea. But I think Bungie did a really great thing. And this is Kevin called it their swan song, and I totally agree. And they could have just slapped together a game and put it out there
really
and sold, 100 million units. But instead, they took their time. The attention to detail is amazing. The story is great. And I think they just wanted to do it right, and they did. And so I think even if, people are kind of haloed out, they're still going to play it.
Yeah, which makes me wonder that I think this is going to sell very strongly and be comparable to Halo 3. I'm curious, though, if it's going to spike on that first day. I wonder if some word of mouth is going to bring people back into the fold. There were some people who were like, to ODST. And given the fact that this doesn't say Halo 4, I can see sort of more casual people out there making an unfair correlation with what may have been a less than satisfactory experience. I mean, do you think if this was Halo 4, it just said 4 in front, like other than Reach, it would actually serve the game better?
I don't think so. I don't think anyone left Halo 3 disappointed. And I think ODST did scare people because it wasn't Master Chief, but I think people have gotten time to get used to the fact that ODST was a good game. And Reach is even better. And I think that word of mouth is that everyone agrees.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
Yeah, and I think the Halo universe is very complicated. And with ODST, you might have looked at it and said, well, I don't know where the heck this fits into everything. But with this one, it's a prequel. So, if you've never played a Halo game, it's a little bit more inviting because you're like, oh, all right, well, I'm starting at the beginning.
The one other thing about Reach is, look, I've never looked at a Halo game as kind of a bright, cheery embrace of a gaming experience, but man, do those look like happier experiences. It's very dour, Halo Reaches. I mean, there's just that sense of like, yeah, fight all you want. This really ain't turning out good for anybody.
I mean, right from the beginning also, it's like, it's going to be bad eventually because it's all going to fall. But like even in the opening moments, it's like it's raining, it's dark, it's really kind of brooding and moody, and it actually sets the tone
you're in
perfectly.
This farmland that I think I said it in the soapbox. It's almost like if someone said this was like Thomas Hardy's World, the game, I would actually believe it. And then you get like the emus running around or the ostriches.
Those things are awesome.
Actually, let's poll: emu or ostrich?
Moa.
I got emu.
You had to come up with a third species I didn't know about.
And there's an achievement if you kill 7 in mission 2.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah, you just run around shooting them.
Well, I just love how they like run into battle. Clearly,
they do.
Like,
they don't know what they're doing.
Let's put it this way. In the case of natural selection, you were selected out, okay? It's one of the upsides to the fall of Reach. Quick side note, Nicole, there was a fun party that happened last week, wasn't there?
Yes, there was.
Yes, that Microsoft didn't invite me to.
I was not invited either. They invited a friend of a friend who sent me the JPEG of the invite, and so I talked my way in. But they had a foam pit, so.
Well, at least you knew about it ahead of time. That was a nice one.
That's why I don't leave my house, Adam, because then I don't have any expectations about being invited.
Exactly, and that's why I'm just gonna become a shut-in. I'm just going to kind of build a
there's
fort
always
out of
hoarders.
Ritz. I'm going to build a fort out of Ritz crackers and just kind of just hide inside of it. The magical world. Okay, moving on from Halo Reach. NPD, they did their August game sales. August, not the best month for game sales traditionally. Some people go on vacation. Games aren't on the mind. Very few are being released. Despite that, it was still a very, very bad month for sales. It was down 10% than the August of last year. And if memory serves me right, August of last year wasn't exactly like, this kind of game changer in terms of that. No surprise, the top 2 games, Madden 11, because, Madden does come out. I was actually more surprised. The number 3 game, Super Mario Galaxy 2. I think it's an uptick for Super Mario Galaxy. And then Mafia 2, the other really major release from for August, and was really at the very, very tail end of August. Despite that, the 360 version Mafia 2 was number 4, and the PS3 version was number 7. And of course, new Super Mario Brothers Wii both the DS and the Wii version actually are still selling.
Keep selling.
I kind of get the idea that the DS version would sell again because family trips, piling the kids into the car, shut up, play your DS, okay? We're going to go see the Grand Canyon. You're going to like it, damn it.
It's a big hole in the ground. Buckle up.
Yeah.
Here's Mario.
Yeah. Do you think this is a cause for concern? Or is this just, I guess there's that part where it's like, the economy still is not doing well, or at least people don't think it's doing well enough that they want to spend any money.
Well, I know when this came out, I would ask the G4 readers, like, why is this happening? And a lot of them would comment me and say that because they're saving up for Halo. They know it's going to be out in 2 weeks.
Yes. Perfect. That was like the perfect overhand toss. You caught it and threw it right back. I like that. I've always said, I think most years it's like I will get Call of Duty and something else, and everyone battles for something else in the second half of the year.
Especially moving now towards Move and Connect on the horizon, especially with the holiday lineups, or the holiday time is always a draw anyway. That other kind of extra factor in there with this new technology is also.
Well, we're going to talk about Move later, but I'm I'm having a hard time imagining that there that many people are like, I'm saving up for Connect or I'm saving up for Move.
No one is.
Because I haven't, Move is about to come out,
Yeah.
and I am not finding much marketing. Connect, which I was under the impression should be in the thrall of a massive marketing campaign. Once again, I know there's like kiosks at South Coast Plaza, but that's not exactly mass marketing. That's kind of honed in laser marketing.
I think we're looking at soft launches on both of these things. And we'll talk about Move a little bit later, but I think with the games themselves, people don't have a lot of extra spending money now. So it's probably like, yeah, I am saving up for Halo and something else.
Yeah.
Or parents are saying, I can't get you a new game right now. Wait until Christmas, because it's probably not where they're just in Target picking stuff up now.
Keep on playing that Call of Duty. I got that for you last year.
Yeah, don't you go online with your friends?
Yeah, something like that. Or do some of that more Facebooking. You kids love doing all that
free.
much. That Mafia Friends Phil game. I don't know.
Isn't Mafia 2 the same as Mafia Wars? That's what a lot of parents probably said.
Yeah. Well, actually, no. This is one of the few games I haven't gotten that, hey, is this game appropriate for my kids? Which is good. It's called Mafia, okay? Just like when people ask me about Grand Theft Auto. If the name of a game is a felony, probably
Always a good
inappropriate.
indication. You should probably stay
If
away.
the name of the game is a well-known moniker for an organized crime syndicate, probably not for kids.
Halo, great for kids.
Halo,
It's
that's
about
a fair one to
angels.
ask. It sounds like it's about angels, or if you mispronounce it, it seems like hello.
Hola.
Or
Good both
Ola, if you spell it backwards. Here's one interesting thing, is that Dead Rising 2 K0, this is the prequel. I think it went up last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago. I
2
can't
weeks
remember.
Yeah.
The 31st.
Yeah.
It broke a record for Xbox Live Arcade for week 1 sales. 300,000 players have posted scores on the leaderboard for it. I just played it this weekend. I loved it.
Yeah,
It
that's what
definitely.
everyone
It's
says.
fun game.
It primed me for Dead Rising 2. I want your guys' take, but I think this is genius marketing. Really cheap. It is not a section of the game that can be misunderstood out of context. It is its own game. And you get the investment that if you get to level 5, you start the game at level 5.
And weapons and upgrades and all of that carried over.
Yep,
Basically,
and it's all for $5, and you get it immediately.
I
you know?
mean, let's pretend that we weren't going to play Dead Rising 2 because it's our job. You get this for $5, you played it to level 5. I mean, do you think that that's probably going to swing a lot of people over to actually buy the game that may have been on the fence?
I mean, probably. Well, it's weird because people who are going to play the second one played the first one and loved it.
Yeah.
Like I played the first one, did not like it. I played the second one, still didn't like it for the same reasons, but loved killing zombies. So I could see investing in this and just doing that one
So
thing.
you didn't like K0, you're saying?
Oh, I haven't played it,
Okay.
but I'm saying that's what I would use it for.
I didn't play the first. I mean, I played probably like 20 minutes of the first one. It felt kind of indifferent about it. And then I played K0, and I really like what they've done with 2. And so I
Yeah.
think people see $5 and they're like, well, I'm thinking about getting Dead Rising 2, but I don't know. So I'm going to spend $5. And they're either going to say, yeah, I'm going to go out and buy the game, or they're going to say, this really still isn't for me. But, Capcom still gets your $5.
Yeah.
And then potentially your
But
$60.
I would assume at $5 a pop that they're losing money on this. It's a fairly well designed.
About an hour, right?
That's what they said.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It could have been just lumped in with the development of a game they already had, a lot of
I
assets
guess it
for.
could have been
and-
the tutorial at one point.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind
Yeah.
of just speculating there. I mean, do you think that this is? I mean, do you see it as a good way to get people enticed to play a game rather than just kind of throwing out a demo?
Absolutely. I think this basically is the demo, and it's a demo you pay for. And I think since it did so amazingly well and broke records, and it has gotten people to want Dead Rising 2 even more, I think we're going to see this a lot more.
Yeah, I would hope so. It's so much. I mean, a lot of games that are good have hurt themselves with a demo because people are like, that doesn't play well because it wasn't.
It's a boring first level.
Or it's part of a larger game when it's not in the context. It doesn't seem to work. So Apple's launching their Game Center for the iPhone, the iPad. Is there another i thing? The
iPod
the
Touch.
the iPod Touch.
Second generation.
Why isn't it just the iTouch?
I'm
Oh,
money.
that's why when you say it out loud, it's kind of creepy.
Oops.
There you go.
So this is pretty much their version of Xbox Live with the friends list, the achievements, the leaderboards, and I guess it works with the iPhone 4, the 3GS. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I assume it doesn't work with any of my iPhones. This is what I'm learning
exactly.
as
It
I'm
doesn't work
reading
with
all the
mine.
data right here.
Yep.
And I guess they've got the jump on Microsoft's Windows Phone 7. I mean, is this essential for Apple to do? I mean, do they really need to kind of go toe for toe with kind of like that Xbox Live? That, oh look, I'm connected to my friends, and I know it's good for Scrabble. It's good for Scrabble.
Words with friends. Let's be fair.
But I think you guys may engage in this iPhone world. This whole Apple thing is just perplexing to me. So I'm looking at you, Dana.
Yes.
Is this big for you?
It's important to me. And it's important to me because it needs to be centralized. For a while, there have been a couple different services out there where you could earn achievements and play games with your friends. I think Plus, I think it was called, was one of them. But not everybody had it. And so with this, I think it should have been done sooner. I think it comes a little late. But at the same time, it's nice to finally have something because everybody loves winning. Everybody loves points. Everyone loves showing off to their friends. And so I think if you game on your iPhone, you want this.
Okay, Nicole, as today's representative of the younger generation, is a game without achievements a game?
It's a game, but it's not a good game.
See.
Yeah, I need to be constantly rewarded, and I also want a leaderboard so then I can show everyone else that I'm better than they are.
So if you did something cool in a game in a forest and no one was there to hear it,
then it didn't happen.
It didn't happen. Okay. Yes, I'm getting my head wrapped around these achieving of things. Jake.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely probably should have been done sooner, but I don't know if they probably anticipated that they would be at the forefront of mobile gaming like a couple years into the iPhone. So, I mean, it totally makes sense now. And especially with the Windows Phone 7 coming up. I mean, I don't know, if people were going to switch to phones just for that, but that is a nice thing to have. People who are achievement whores are going to have that in their pocket, and that's kind of insane.
Phones?
Yeah.
To get a service that allows me to get calls. That's
Adam.
If they do.
That's old fashioned.
I mean, think about it. Back to the achievements thing. Like the whole idea of the fish story. Where like, oh, I go out, I'm fishing, and like I almost caught the big one. It's like, I mean, does that even have any cachet anymore? Since it's so like, so many of your activities can be sort of just monitored, so other people can monitor, so they can figure out if you succeed. I mean, are we preventing ourselves the ability to lie? Which I think isn't, it's important sometimes to get through life.
Well, I think you go one of two ways.
'Cause I used to do cool things in Super Mario Brothers that could never be verified.
I mean, you could be one of the people who goes around saying, "Oh, achievements don't matter to me." You go silent on Xbox Live, and all your friends just assume that you're badass. Or you're the person who spends hours and hours and hours trying to take down 2 tanks with 1 missile and get the 25 Gs, and or you don't play games. Or no, wait, you own a PS3,
and
because then you get trophies.
And no one knows how to check each other's trophies that easily.
It's like a Little League game where they don't keep score. Hey, everybody's a winner.
Juice boxes.
Sometimes I need the self-esteem boost for thinking I'm just as good as everyone else, and they're not as good as they think they are.
But
I know.
No achievement is gonna.
The achievement sound makes me happier. Is that?
Yeah, no, that's true.
And
you know what? And I got this in Reach too. Is that when you get an achievement for something that you weren't even thinking was there to be achieved?
Yeah,
like, it just
That's
comes up.
always
It's
good.
like, what did I do? And it's like, okay. And then I'm like, okay, now I have to be more. Then I'm like, okay, what's using that logic? What could be other achievements that are available for me here? So yeah, I was being cranky pants. What's that thing? Devil's Advocator. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Study finds 71% of hardcore gamers interested in 3D gaming.
Oh, what?
I'm going to say this again. Study finds 71% of hardcore gamers interested in 3D gaming. And this was done by Nielsen.
Get out.
And as someone who works in the world of television, I understand the godly grandeur and force of Nielsen. Let's see, 42% of the respondents cited interest in playing video games in 3D, with 7 out of 10 hardcore or regular gamers interested in 3D games. 48%, this is the one that really gets me, 48% felt more engaged with what they were watching. Mm-hmm. Anyone here feel more engaged when they're watching a 3D game? Feel free, I will not mock you. Nicole, you're new, so you're really more the mystery here.
This whole study is silly. Like, I think it's a low percentage to be interested.
Yeah.
I mean, aren't 100% of people interested in 3D gaming and at least like learning more about it or find it different? Like, interested. I mean, that doesn't mean they're going to buy it.
Yeah, but I mean, actually, during E3, we were checking on our Twitter, like our hashtag. We were able to gauge some trends. Granted, of our viewers, of our avid viewers, but 3D was really, really low on the totem pole. And like, granted, that wasn't the proper sample that obviously Nielsen is using. But yeah, the third element of this though does talk to that. The cost of equipment and TVs still a major deterrent for people, and there's gonna be years to come before it's affordable and like there's a standardization. I guess I have yet to see exactly where the enhancement is in 3D gaming. So maybe it is that like there's just the concept of 3D gaming is good, and they haven't actually seen it put into practice where it's a little bit like cool depth.
Well, I would question hardcore gamers. What does Nielsen define as a hardcore gamer?
Yeah, typically I know that we around here define it as like buying about six to 8 plus games a year. That you there's a large chunk of your income going into playing video games.
Yeah, I can't get behind 3D, at least right now. I mean, first of all, the glasses. I hate the glasses. I hate the idea. I already wear glasses. Yeah, and it's annoying to wear 3D glasses over regular glasses. And then all I hear when I hear the word or the term 3D is money flying out of everyone's pockets, for something that they don't necessarily really need or something that doesn't really work yet. So, I mean, I think it could work. I think it could add something to it. But, how much more do you want out of games? How much more is 3D really going to give you?
Like I've said, immersion was always used to kind of, it was like, oh, look, the graphics are so good. It's immersive. No, actually, if the gameplay's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the physics are consistent, if there's a logic, that's when we're all immersed in a game, not like, oh, look, now I can see it on the sides of my head. How amazing, my $8,000 Forza 3 setup. Yes, I'm believing it. Now, the one thing I'm wondering is in the 71% of hardcore gamers, if they were thinking of the 3DS as 3D gaming. Right. It is, but I think, at least for some of us here, 3D gaming has become this pejorative phrase. That's what we're thinking about, putting on the glasses. The 3DS, I believe we're all, that's just like, okay. And at the same time, is that going to undercut, glasses wearing 3D? Since they're like, yeah, but over here in my hand.
For not $8,000.
Yeah,
I think that
would probably be a very reasonable price.
That's the big thing, too. I mean, the two major things would be the time investment, like sitting down, like, you can watch a movie in 3D, wear the glasses for 2 hours, and that's fine. Not going to sit in front of your TV for 5-6 hours with glasses on, especially if you're hardcore.
And you know what? And Reggie pointed this out, and I think he's very, very apt on it. I multitask while I game. I mean, it's like I have a BlackBerry right there that I kind of need to keep an eye on, and maybe a bowl of not fruit. I'm not healthy.
I was going to say honey, but that's a little weird to eat.
But when I'm checking some emails, I have to stop down a little bit. I don't think I'm unique that way. And when you throw those glasses in, these things are coming on and off and on and off. I think it just becomes a little bit cumbersome, especially when the entire game hasn't changed. I can't even experience this without the glasses.
And then no one else in the room with you can experience what you're experiencing.
Yes. And that's even an issue with the 3DS, which I think is going to be interesting a little bit further down the line. Because people, at least I see a lot of kids that like to crowd around a DS, which it's kind of, there's not much room. Because it's small. And
I think you have to ask yourself, when does 3D become worth it? Because if you think about it, okay, so I have a 42-inch TV, and it's in 3D. It doesn't fill my, field of vision. It doesn't, is that worth it? I mean, are you going to have to go out and buy just a gigantic
70-inch
TV?
And then the cost goes up, it goes up. So we'll see. 3D, it will be here. We'll be here.
Whether you're ready or not.
Couple things. PlayStation turned 15.
We should get it a trophy.
Yeah. I'm just like, wow. Because PlayStation came out after I left the college. That was 50. Okay. Super Mario Brothers turned 25.
Yay.
I mean,
Yay.
Actually, I'm curious. I think we know the answer, but between PlayStation and Super Mario, which do you think has the more significant role in gaming?
Super Mario.
Super Mario.
Well, as for nostalgia, Mario, but I think the PlayStation has done more for gaming as an experience.
I mean, I'm almost tempted to say PlayStation because what Sony did, despite where they are right now with the PlayStation 3, I think what they did and then Halo, made gaming mainstream. That, Super Mario Brothers, everyone kind of played it, but then it didn't turn everyone into gamers until a couple of generations later. So I think
Yeah, but I think it depends when you say that to people. Like they think of Super Mario and they kind of get nostalgic and wispy and
I do.
think back to a better time. But if you say PlayStation, like yeah, if you're getting down to the nuts and bolts of it, it probably made more of a difference. But in people's minds, Super Mario,
Because it's probably one of your first. At least a lot of kids.
Yeah.
They're big game that they remember playing as a kid.
I wanted it so much that my parents didn't pay attention to the fact that it was bundled in with the NES, and so I got both copies. I got 2 copies of the game for Christmas with no other game. And I'm like, and then it took forever to return it because we had to go see my grandmother or some relative, and it was like, but I want that. I was like, what game will I get? And of course, you get to the store and they're all sold out. And so I ended up with something like Bubble. Bibble, dibble. All right, let's talk a little bit about, game of the week. Let's call it peripheral of the week.
There we go.
PlayStation Move. It's going to be made available to people. It's weird. I've always been working on the fact that it's coming out like the 19th, but I think that there's some bundles that are going to be made available on Friday. I think this is, to your point there, Dana, the definition of a soft launch. Oh, that's a PlayStation
There it
Move.
is.
Here it is.
Look at
This
that.
is the PlayStation Move motion controller, and this is the PlayStation Move navigation controller.
Now, of course, that's white right now, the ball on the top, but usually when you're playing it, it's a nice magenta or perhaps an azure.
Yes, it's a rainbow of colors.
It's actually a mood remote. It can actually tell how you're feeling.
I wish. No.
Yeah. That might not be good when it comes
Yeah.
to this data.
Just glowing red.
So this is Sony's foray into motion control. Let's see. This is a tough one to do, but let's try this exercise. Let's divorce the controller from the games that are going to be available or that we've tried it out with.
Okay.
How is the technology? Does it deliver on what they said for this level of specificity, this one-to-one that is superior to that Nintendo has?
Yes. However, at this juncture, it's hard to separate the hardware from the games because I don't think that the developers have quite tapped the potential of the Move. And so it's hard to say, well, is it the hardware or is it the games? Because you're not getting that one-to-one all the time. You're not like when they first announced it, I thought, okay, the Wii has come out. This is awfully similar. They've got to be taking it to the next level. So maybe they were showing every motion gets tracked and the controller turns into a tennis racket or a sword. And so you're like, okay, this is it. Like now I'm going to be able to do natural motions. It's going to register none of this quick little movements.
Just move it this way and you'll get
Right.
something that goes that way.
Exactly. And we're not, with the titles that we were able to look at, we were not getting that all the time.
All the time, but you were so we know the tech is potentially there, but it still
Right.
requires the software to actually exploit it and to
Exactly.
actually bring it
Yeah.
out.
Like Tumble, like I reviewed Tumble and actually found it to be a great use of it. I mean, and then there's actually just a way to, like, you see the controller on the screen and actually just being able to spin it around and play with the controller and see its kind of virtual representation exactly as the way it is in your hand is a cool little thing.
Yeah.
And to play the game, it does it. You go inside the screen, outside, rotate, turn around. It actually is a very good showcase for the tech. It's a shame the game is basically just like Boom Blocks. But I think tech wise, like that in that specific instance, you can kind of see, oh, okay, it can work pretty well.
Nicole, were you moved by Move?
No. Well, I mean, if I did this, it did that. But also, if I just did this, it worked just as well. So I think the technology is there, but I don't think it necessarily matters.
Now, the reason I was bringing up the idea that, okay, does the technology work is it is neat. Okay, you do have something that feels like it could be more specific or more precise than Nintendo. To what advantage? See, there's that part of me that almost starts to wonder, do you just now add a level of challenge or a level of kind of physical patience on the part of the player that may actually be more than anyone's willing to give to a game? That, if it's... When you think about Wii Sports, yeah, I just kind of did that. I swung the racket, but that was just like, because I just wanted to hit the ball. That if I'm really playing tennis, tennis is a little bit harder than Wii Sports tennis. So, I mean, it's an interesting conundrum I think they might have.
I just think, when do you decide whether you play tennis in your living room or whether you actually go out and play tennis?
Yeah.
Like the only advantage right now to the Move is that it's an HD.
Which could, down the line, I mean, given the amount of complaints that we have about the graphics
Exactly.
on the Nintendo Wii.
I mean, that's like it or not an advantage that it has.
And I think
over the
that's
Wii.
where they need to differentiate themselves. I think they need to do really compelling and weird things with it. I think like if they can somehow use it as the first thing that came to mind when I was playing Tumble was that it almost kind of feels like a lighter. Like if you hold it,
like
it's almost like a lighter.
Like this.
I would love to see a survive like a Silent Hill or something,
or like
that
Alan
uses
Wake.
that, or an Alan Wake as your flashlight, or something where it kind of just taking more advantage of the technology and kind of pushing it beyond, just swinging something at the screen or something.
I mean,
like that.
I think that's an interesting point. They have a sports game. I've made fun of the fact that both Kinect and Move have a sports game, sports champion. Now, and to your point though, that was the one that we really did like of the initial lineup.
Yes, because it was the one that worked.
Now, the only thing is that Wii Sports, I will say this over and over again, was successful not because of sports, because of Wii. It was just the best way to show off what was at the time incredibly brand new, and everyone kind of dogpiling on the sports thing. It's like, no, it's like looking at Shark Week and thinking if we do something for a week, everybody will come here. No, it's the freaking shark because they're scary. They live in the water, and I don't know when they're going to bite me. I guess the point I'm getting to is we've seen this with Nintendo. There seems to be all this possibility with motion control, but we really haven't gotten that much that actually works. How much can really be done with motion control? I mean, is Kinect and Move almost, resigned to having to just kind of redo what has already been done before on the Wii?
Well, I think, and I don't want to.
Dana, you look like you're holding back.
I don't want to all over it. Okay, I don't, but because I wanted to like it. I am, one of the few people I know who gets really excited about motion control. I don't love the Wii, but I like it enough. And I thought, with Sony and Microsoft coming out with their own version of motion control, that, maybe we would be seeing some more exciting things. And one of the things that disappointed me the most about the Move was that the Wii has been out, since 2006? And Sony has basically launched a product where they have put themselves back 4 years. They didn't look at the Wii and say, okay, you know what? This came out. Our product is sort of similar, but it's better. It's more technologically advanced, maybe. What can we learn from the way the Wii launched and what games it launched with and do it better? They didn't really do that.
No, you're right.
Well, I was just going to say that the reason I'm not into the whole motion gaming thing is because I'm a gamer who likes to sit there and not move, and I have very bad posture because of it. I've earned it. But I mean, my Wii's not plugged in, and I felt like the Move is a prettier, more precise HD version of the Wii, and I don't like my Wii.
Now, I guess the one thing is, I don't know if this is going to actually make better Move games, but as opposed to Nintendo, where like everything is on the Wii. That's on the Wii. It's like it's just like you're using that damn controller for a game that has motion control or not. At least with Move, it's almost like a whole segmented section of gaming offerings. Like we're not going to see suddenly Uncharted 3 be Move only, because that would be. They seem to be wise enough to see where Nintendo really made a misstep by not having it be kind of a bifurcated catalog of games and for who they're actually designed for.
Yeah, except they're trying to sandwich it in on some titles. Like they Tiger Woods, which you would think makes sense using the Move, it's not good. And then Heavy Rain is fine. It's much like the original game. It sort of lends itself to Move.
I almost think that I haven't played the full thing with Move, but I would like to. That one, I was playing it a lot at PAX. It's doing things that feel even more innate than there's sometimes, contrived button presses that were designed to make sure that you don't do it right.
Well, it's funny because there's a feeling you get when you use motion controllers that you need to not actually do the motion. You need to do it like the controller wants you, or the game wants you to do it. And the one thing with Heavy Rain was that it taught me that with Move, it's better to do it like you would normally do it. I spent, I kid you not, 15 minutes trying to open the refrigerator in Heavy Rain. And it wasn't until I said, you know what, I'm going to kind of ignore the feedback that I'm getting on the screen, and I am just going to pretend like I am opening a refrigerator door when it worked. And so after that, that's the one thing that Move does do really well, is it's very natural.
And again, that's the thing, is doing something that is completely different from something that you would expect from a motion control. Of course, with Heavy Rain, it makes sense considering they wanted to do that from the beginning. That was what they had intended to do. have motion control.
But I also think that Heavy Rain isn't a game for the most casual
No.
gamers.
And I think that might be actually where they need to go.
Wow.
Yeah,
Like, they need to be.
This is not designed for casual gamers. Like, and it surprises me so much because Sony's marketing with like Kevin Butler, they have a new Move commercial. It's so
It is
good.
funny. It's a very...
It's so good. And then the games they've got are just...
Well, and I think that's the other thing. Let's talk about the marketing and stuff like that. They do have the Kevin Butler. There are other games that will be coming out for Move. I know that what's happening at launch, there will be more that's leading, sort of down through probably, mid-November when Thanksgiving hits. I don't know if they're hurting themselves. There doesn't also seem to be that real hook. As Sports Champions, like I said, Wii Sports has done it. They need a better hook. And I think there are some games out there, maybe not for this year, but going into next year, that would make a very strong case for Move. I mean, I guess I was curious, do you think they're expecting to do well out of the gate, or are they kind of hedging their bets in, like, as you said, a very soft launch for the technology?
Well, I think that they have very few really strong titles at launch, and I don't understand why they did that, because that's most people's complaint with the PS3, that it didn't have enough launch titles that would sell people right away.
They had Gundam.
You see, so why make that same mistake? Like, why give people fuel to just complain? Like, give us solid titles from the get-go. I don't want to wait a few months after I buy it.
I mean, the only thing I can think of is they already decided this isn't going to do well initially. They might as well just launch it, awareness, and then maybe people will start buying their moves in March or something
Which
like
would
that.
explain why they launched it before the holiday season.
Well, and before Connect, which I think was
They're
was
just
fairly...
trying to beat Microsoft, and that's fine. But, they're going to have to give people time to warm up to it. And, the PS3 is not a family console already, and Move isn't helping. It's, the Sports Champions, it's a more sterile version of Wii
You maybe
Sports.
sort of look at the PS3 as kind of like that grumpy, Harvard-educated uncle that's trying to connect with his nephews, and so he puts on a propeller beanie.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you still smell like brandy and contempt. It's
like in Sports Champions, sometimes there isn't even like background music. It is serious business.
of simulated sports, most of which you never thought about playing until you got this game. All right, well, thank you so much for that wonderful discussion of Move. Obviously, we know it's going to be available by the end of the weekend to just about everybody. Anyone who does pick it up, please email in your thoughts and and what you think about it. I think sometimes when it comes to this stuff, it's good to see that kind of actual gamer because it's sometimes tough from our vantage point. I want to
give it time. That's
like a wine.
Yes, like a fine wine. Put it in a barrel and
like
let
a
it
fine
rot
wine
for a while.
or most sitcoms. Because, Seinfeld wasn't good till season 3. So, just pointing it out. Question of the week. This comes from Game Wizard. Thank you for a pronunciable. Look what
There you
I
go.
do. See?
See?
Yeah, a name I can announce. Game_Wizard. I just read that the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals upheld the right for software companies to deny the resale of their products. This is aimed at computer software companies, but it could be used with the sale of used games as well. My question is, how big of an impact do you see on used game sales because of this? Do you see places like GameStop going out of business if game companies make it so it is no longer legal for stores or online sites to sell their used products? This is a complicated ruling because it really was not like the case that brought it forward was not game specific. This was having to do with software resales, I believe, through eBay.
Right.
But the licensing for this software is very similar to what you can find on the licensing for at least some. I don't know if it's all games. EA, as you pointed out earlier, Jake, says, hey, we're licensing this to you. You don't own this game.
You don't own the copyright. You don't own the right.
Also, remember, this is the Ninth Circuit. I have every reason to believe that for a case like this, this is going to get appealed to the Supreme Court. This, unlike Lee Lin Yee's law, I think is exactly what the highest court in the nation was designed for. Let's just say for a second that suddenly the game companies are given the ability to kind of prevent the resale of games. That's an interesting scenario because resale, I know, makes up for a lot of ways that people get their games. I'm curious, what you guys might think. How important is this to GameStop or other companies that, or other retailers that sell used games?
Well, if that's what they sell, not being able to sell it's going to be, incredibly dramatic impact on them. But I don't think, even if that happened, which I don't think that is logical to happen, I just don't think it's going to happen.
True. I don't see how you enforce this.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Who's like the resale police? Like, hold on, that's already been opened, and I see money changing hands.
Well, I mean, right now, California GameStops are treated like pawn shops, and so you have to just show your ID and get thumbprinted and that whole ordeal. And so I think they're protected in a different sense because you're selling expensive used products. But I mean, from a GameStop point of view, they need to worry more about digital distribution rather than reselling games.
Obviously, look, the game industry is trying to find a way to make more. I mean, there's enough used game sales that it hurts them if all of those used game sales were actually a proper retail sale. Now, here's what I think is the converse to all of this, is that I think that certain games that may be a little bit off the beaten path, people, they get into people's hands because of used sales. At $60 a pop, Heavy Rain's a little scary. $30 resale. And are we at least educating our gamers better by making sure that they're at least trying out these games?
Well, yeah, I think there'll definitely be, if it happens, which again, hard to say if it will. It'll probably just be a shift towards rentals and digital distribution, which will be a weird thing. Like all of a sudden, like Blockbuster will be huge all of a sudden or something. Like a rental company.
Blockbuster's going to be huge.
Like some kind of
GameFly.
Somebody will come in and offer.
They're in chapter
rentals.
double hockey sticks. If you know what I mean, kids.
Yeah. It's hard to say. I mean, first of all, if this happens, fascists, that's horrible. Like this atrocity will not stand. But I think we.
Have you led
I almost
any
want it to
rallies
happen.
lately, Dana?
I
That's
want
quite
it to
something.
happen just so you can say that to me.
I will go out with a sign that I draw on poster board and magic marker and just protest the heck out of it because everybody likes cheap stuff. And I don't think, this is a larger argument. I mean, we could talk for hours about the sort of ethical, forget the legal ramifications, but, companies need to make money. And it's not like they're not making money, even though used games are being sold. And then you start to talk about, well, if you can't sell used games, can I loan a game to a friend? Because
remember, Barney taught us sharing is caring. So pretty much what we're saying is that it's illegal to care.
See, fascists. But
they might lock up the purple dinosaur.
I don't think it would put GameStop out of business. I mean, I think if they're savvy, they'll adapt to whatever happens and they'll fight tooth and nail to make sure that this doesn't happen. But I wonder to what extent it would be in the best interest of EA to aggressively pursue EA or any game company. Right. Let me be fair. It's just that's not the best PR, and like it could hurt you on the back end because everyone knows that like Dead Space. The amount of times it's been played versus the number of copies sold have shown that this is a huge seller on resale. Wait and see what happens with the sales of Dead Space 2. This could have actually sort of had a long lead advantage to actually help establish this franchise, and there'll be sales with Dead Space 2 at the beginning of January. So who knows? Well, time will tell. Yeah, and companies are always starting to handcuff used copies by giving people who buy it new DLC for free and stuff like that.
I think it's a creative incentive.
Yeah, it's a great way to combat that because if you really want it, you're going to buy it new.
I want my new pink armor because it makes me look so distinguished. Me and my other pre-order buddies were running around. Yay.
I want my head to be on fire.
Thank you, Game Wizard, for actually a very interesting question. And I think Dana's right. As we get, as things emerge about this might be able to merit entire feedback. I would like to thank everyone for joining us. Nicole? Dana? Jake? It's been fun. Abby Heppy and Kevin Kelly will be back next week from Tokyo. They'll should be really jet lagged, so come up with really tough questions on Halo Reach, which we will be discussing. I myself will be out. I will be in the wild environs of Chicago, and then London, England, not other Londons. I guess they're all called New London, and they tend to be significantly less impressive than their old brethren. With that. Hope you enjoyed this feedback. Remember, we're always up on G4TV.com every Wednesday. And for reviews of things like PlayStation Move and Halo Reach, well, that's where you need to go as well. And if you don't, well, your loss.
Do you play World of Warcraft or one of its 1,000 clones? Do you know what a mob or pug is? Then you'll want to make sure to check out the MMO Report. It gives you all the massively multiplayer online news you could want in a neat little package named Casey Schreiner. Check out all new episodes every Thursday over at G4TV.com/MMO. You're welcome.